got a question for you guys. So 2021, pandemic, you guys have done a lot for signatures, with the technology to get COVID signatures, different things. So
Sure.
what do we got in store for 2021? I know there's
Good question.
a lot of
love this
a lot
question.
of big news though. So what's Pioneer got for us?
I'm gonna let Josh go first. He's the product guy.
So
I'm
not going to commit to any timelines ever.
First and foremost.
But a lot of the stuff that we kind of had, like, oh, this is going to be a cool idea, our redo on our delivery app and things like that, to really make those areas much more fluid. And that kind of hits on what you guys do. You find a process, you plug the holes, you make it better. Delivery is one of those areas where it's got a ton of little holes that you can start plugging those up and make the whole experience a lot better. Namely the app being released in both iOS and Android, so you can get more devices out there. Being able to pay for things, get better notifications about where your medications are, what's going on with them, taking the human impact out of it. So a lot of our notifications, you don't need to call somebody or text them with a human. If you can tell them, the system can kick off a prior authorization's pending. We'll let you know when it's ready and give them updates. So a lot of that's really around making that operational fluidity more palatable. And really, when a human doesn't have to do something, they don't.
Right. And something that I've heard him, Josh, and Jeff Key, our president, talk about is something that I don't know how long term this is, but like not sending you an alert that a patient, because we have SMS texting and stuff like that baked into Pioneer, but getting an alert when someone just says okay. You type something to them and all they did was confirm you're okay, cool. Do they need to be alerted? Trying to use some machine learning around there to figure out when it makes the most sense to alert a pharmacist or someone on the bench or whatever, and when it doesn't make sense, and then also like what Josh was saying, extending the pharmacy outside of the four walls where you can, and that's probably around payment models. I can speak a little bit. I'm not writing too many checks. Josh has to cash. That's I get
timelines, Josh.
Right.
But payment at least in an asynchronous way is something that you have to really think about. In the old model, you paid for it at the point of sale, you handed it to a patient. And in this next model, whatever that ends up looking like, you've got delivery, mail, curbside pickup, you've got in-store pickup, and not all of those have to be paid at the exact same time. So really making the web-based payments, the asynchronous payments, all of those things have to be good.
That's good stuff. I mean, I know some of the delivery drivers, collect cash and check still, and I'd love to eliminate that. I mean, not that I don't trust them, but a guy told me years and years ago that it's not if you're going to steal, it's when. And I know that's terrible to say, but unfortunately, it probably holds some truth.
Yeah, sometimes you want a burger, you ain't got the cash. I get it.
Oh, I mean, even robberies too.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Robbery too. Yeah, you don't want them with the cash. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's true.
Very much so. And that, that's why I goes back and forth on whether you wrap your car, with your pharmacy name on it, or you just keep the car bland. And I've always kept them bland.
Yeah. What do you think? Is that what your school of thought is? I've seen some paint it gold, right? But I've also seen some, we don't really want to be noticed.
We have a ton of pharmacy break-ins right now in our area.
Okay.
In fact, one guy broke into our store, broke into again. He's been released 3 times. I mean, it's just really? they're with the COVID and stuff. They're not locking them up. But here, I got another question. One of the things that hurt independent pharmacy, we believe, when HHS announced that they were going to use Walgreens and CVS for the distribution of the vaccine, and it boiled down to their ability to deliver the results to the databases that they needed, the reporting, right? And so we as independents all have different systems and different levels of technology that may or may not report. It would sure be nice if, and I know Pioneer has maybe some built in, but I'm not necessarily so sure it works super great or it does what we need it to do to get to the states or even to the federal level. Is there anything on the horizon for a unified reporting system where it would allow us to be more powerful as a group of independents and potentially be at the top of the list when, stuff like this vaccine distribution and stuff comes out, because we're always mopping up.
Right.
I love that term, actually.
Yeah.
I don't like that we're in it, but yeah.
And that's an area where I'll say I think CPSN's done a really nice job. They were really proactive and got in front of HHS around vaccines after it looked like independents were going to get left out. And now, the independent market will be served with CPSN through the immunization piece. So I think they did a really nice job with that. And a lot of it's been a lack of really centralized reporting. One of the nice things that, your CVS and Walgreens can do and say, hey, HHS, here's this format that we're going to use, and it's going to cover 8,000, 9,000 pharmacies.
Right. Yeah.
Right. That's great. But now where Pioneer's at, and, with consolidation in the market, we could have, many, many more pharmacies on the same reporting style, send the same report.
Right.
So all of that's aligned in a way that I think in the next 12 months, you'll be able to see a much more consistent, cohesive response of here's a single reporting format. It will match for 10,000 pharmacies across the country. And it gives independent pharmacy a bigger seat at the table when you can have a consistent response from Florida to Washington.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
that's good.
And even in my, I do with Josh, we do a lot of the business dev together. Even when you're talking to, we take our swings at trying to get independent pharmacists reimbursed for other stuff either they're already doing or other things that somebody else is already being reimbursed for. And, when you're looking at, back when we first started, 2,200 locations on Pioneer, we didn't have the scale right at the time, for a manufacturer either to listen or a payer to listen.
Right. We would go talk to them and they would just say, look, you guys are cool. Your system looks great.
Yeah.
But you're just not big enough.
Right. And then we're finally starting to eke into, hey, 4,500 locations is a good chunk. And as we continue to scale, we're going to keep taking those swings. So you're absolutely right about that.
I've always said that 10,000 pharmacy mark, for whatever that looks like, PSAO or pharmacy system, it kind of makes, puts you in the game, even puts you maybe towards the top of the playlist.
Maybe not 100% network. Yeah, maybe not 100% network adequacy, but you start to get closer. And then in some pockets, we've learned, at least from our side, network adequacy can be a very, very just regional thing. And then we're and regionally, there's places where we have it. And
I think that rural network, which we talked about earlier, take it to another level. It is very important for network adequacy across the country. And I think it oftentimes overlooked, but there's some value there, big value, to help everybody as a whole.
Right. Well, and
because those patients have to be served.
Right. And that's, I think the caveat is we're right at that cusp of PioneerRx being big enough and people finally realizing that, like in your county where you were the only non-emergency test site, you have to have those places. And independent pharmacy covers those gaps really nicely. So you're kind of getting at that point where COVID sped along some of this probably by a couple of years that says,
that's true.
Hey, you have to care and you have to pay attention to what's going on in underserved communities. Because we just have, even, large urban areas, there's just massive pockets of underserved patients. And most of them have an independent pharmacy nearby.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.